Well, I'm really looking forward to today's show. And, usually a good show starts with, the people that you're going to have or the hunting that you're going to have or the area that you're going to be at. And this show's got a little bit of all of that. Certainly got two guys that I really enjoy. And, of course, our main guest today is going to be Harm Gross. And, Harm, you are coming in loud and clear from Vancouver, Canada, or close to Vancouver, to be exact.
Yeah, just Kelowna, just east over the mountains.
Okay. And, of course, I see Mr. Dan Macdonald, our cameraman and field producer, that was with you on the adventure that we're about to go on in Zimbabwe. So, Dan, welcome to the show.
How you doing, Dave? Nice to see you guys.
Yeah, now, for those of you that don't know, and I only found out about 10 minutes ago, a couple hours ago, you were wrestling with a 9-foot black mamba down on your farm. You sent me a picture of it. Man, that thing was a stinking beast.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, when we get call-outs of guys in the macadamias or black mambas in trees, they don't particularly like them there when they're trying to work. So that's go and get rid of it quickly.
Yeah, those things, I tell you what, we live in rattlesnake country. And of course, I've been all over Africa and seen all the snakes. But I will say this, there's just something about those damn mambas. You just look at them, and if there's an animal that really does look like death, that's got to be it. I mean, they scare the hell out of me.
They definitely aren't the friendliest looking of the creatures.
Well, Harm, it's good to see you, brother. It's been a while since you and I got to chat. And I think the first time that we met, you were booking, and this has been, good Lord, a long time ago, but you had booked a hunt with Dande Safaris in the Zambezi Valley. And that's been, boy, there's been a little bit of water under the bridge since that hunt, huh?
There certainly has. So that was actually a combined elephant buffalo hunt.
Yeah.
That had with Mike Payne.
Okay. Yeah, oh, sure. I remember Tim and I were talking about that. I said, I don't know who he hunted with. And Tim said, I think it was Mike Payne. So it was Mike Payne. Well, good. Yeah. Harm, how many safaris have you done now?
Well, the last one was my 8th.
Your 8th. So how many of those, because the cats, both lion and leopard, are going to be the star of the show today. So how many hunts had you specifically been on that had one or both cats on the bag?
Well, I was unsuccessful on 3 previous hunts.
Yeah.
In Tanzania, including with Chifuti, actually, in Dande. And twice in Tanzania and once in Zimbabwe. And this time I stayed at the same camp where you and I first ran into each other, Maruru.
Yeah.
So going back to my first hunt, and that's where my last hunt was.
Well, I mean, look, glad you came back. Now, you booked this hunt with Charlton McCallum Safaris, and how did that hunt come about? When did you start talking to Buzz and Miles?
Well, I had wanted to hunt with them for quite some time because, reading the material about them and having met them at the SCI show, they were such friendly, good guys, as far as I could tell. And so I contacted them out of the blue, effectively, and asked if it was possible to hunt with them. And they suggested a cat hunt, which was, what I had left of the Big 5, short of the rhino, which I'm going to try to fulfill next year. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to book with them.
Well, I have a lot of respect for, look, if you hunt Africa enough, everybody's got that one critter that just is hard from them. Some guys, leopards fall out of trees on them. I know guys that have been on, 5 and 6 hunts for a leopard and still haven't seen spots in the trees. Now, maybe they were hunting in the wrong spot, pun intended. But, obviously the cats were something that you just had a real deep desire to get. And I got a lot of respect for somebody that goes, and I know how disappointing it can be to go that far over there and, invest the time and the money and come back in empty-handed. And, of course, that's, the reality of fair chase hunting. There's no guarantees, but, that is quite a commitment. So, congrats and hats off for you staying with it. And, I was pulling for you because I knew you'd been there a few times when this safari was going on. Dan and I had talked, and he said, man, we're grinding, and that's what those damn cat hunts can be. But besides hunting with Charlton McCallum Safaris, I think you fell under a real lucky star with your professional hunter, our buddy Lynn Taylor. Not only is just Lynn one of the true gentlemen in the professional hunting game, but he's just one of the most focused, great guys to hunt with, and I'm sure that's your feeling.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I think Len was awesome. Some of the other guides I've been with, our PHs have been really good, but Len, in my mind, is a star. And I would go back and hunt in Zimbabwe in a second. And the only problem I've had is getting an export permit from Canada for my rifles to bring them to Zimbabwe. So I had to borrow a rifle on this occasion. And like a lot of people, you kind of fall in love with your weapon, right?
Sure.
And I can tell you right here on the air that Dan was a great part of that hunt. I loved him being along, not just as a cameraman, but as a fellow citizen of this planet Earth. He's such a great guy.
Well,
Dan,
I think you enjoyed that experience as well, Dan.
No, that was a good one. And shame, we were all pulling for Harm, coming into it as well. Obviously, Len and I had got, the info that, Harm had been a few times and had failed on cats. So even before the hunt start, the pressure was on that, we really wanted to try and, get things going. The strategizing started long before, the hunt even started, and obviously spending a lot of time there. Obviously on other hunts, we know where big tracks have been of leopards, lions, trying to look, strategize. So we had, been planning even before Harm came. We really wanted to make it happen for him.
Cat hunting is a chess game. It really is, and there is more strategy involved in a cat hunt, I think, than any other hunt on planet Earth, not just Africa. Now, Harm, you did say because of firearm import restrictions that you did borrow a gun. What caliber did you go with?
It was a Winchester Model 7375 H&H. Yeah, which is, coincidentally, I have one of those as well, so it felt familiar. But I borrowed it from Miles, and that was very kind of him to let me do that.
And I saw it was topped with a Trigicon, which, I always tell people, out of all the things on a cat hunt, maybe the most important gear selection I can give you is your scope. Lots of calibers, lots of bullets will kill them. Your scope choice on a cat hunting, since so much of it's done, so early and so late, it's just everything. So I was happy to see you properly outfitted with a scope and rifle caliber. And so, what was Lynn's, initial bait plan?
Well, I think obviously when it comes to any cat hunters, you need meat. So with Dande not being the easiest area when it comes to a lot of your plains game, you take a lot of it in your stride. What you can get, you try and go with. So obviously leopard and lion, we needed big meat. So buffalo naturally is going to be your biggest bait that you can get there. So or apart from hippo, so buffalo is definitely going to try and be one of the first things we went for.
He's an old bull. He's about 34, 35 inches. On the shoulder, eh?
And this case here, the situation, that took a shot at that buffalo moved just as I was pulling the trigger. And talk about a helpless feeling. It's such a short distance, but as you're pulling the trigger, you shouldn't pull it all the way, but
you're committed.
Stop. You're committed. And, Lynn at first thought that I'd hit it properly, but I knew I hadn't. And that is so disappointing, particularly because you have those few, not even seconds, parts of seconds where you just know this isn't going to work. But damn it, you can't stop.
Well, let me say this. Make a pretty long story short. How many days? I know you had a wounded buffalo situation. So how many days did y'all? What was your time length that you stayed trying to get back on this bull?
Well, we didn't return to try to get back on it after I'd wounded it, but we spent a few days to get to that point. I think it was only 2 or 3 days, Dan. before we were onto a
Yeah.
buffalo. It was pretty fast.
Yeah, and we tried that on that herd the next day, if I'm not mistaken. We wanted to just try and see if anything had split from it. And I know we managed to catch some. Remember, we're up on that one hill looking down into the valley, and there was we spooked them. They got our wind, and when you're trying to find that needle in that haystack, it's quite difficult. And when especially those dandy buffalo, they definitely aren't silly there. So once they've got your wind and you're trying to find a wounded one, it's difficult. And it's sadly it's also one of those hard ones where a lot of the hunters going by. I think it was day 4, something like that, and we needed meat in the trees, so you also just at some stage you just have to cut your losses, I guess, and try for something else.
Well, the important thing is that you did the right thing morally, ethically. You exhausted every effort. You stayed after that herd, and you just it just didn't come together. But anyhow, so you got to choke that down. But you guys did everything you could, and you should both be, and as well as Lynn, commended for the solid effort. But now you're kind of at square one again. You're several days into the hunt. You need meat, and there's a place to get big meat in the valley, Harm, and y'all went there.
Yeah. I'd stayed at the fish camp, the Charlton McCallum fish camp. So I passed this pod of hippos numerous times fishing for tigerfish along the river. So I thought it was kind of fun in a way to come back and actually try to shoot one of those hippos out of the herd.
I think the big one's on the left. No, it's seen you. No, it's seen you. He's moving. Just there, stay there. That's fine. You should be fine there. Hey, what's that?
The thing with the hippo is because they're always moving slightly, and even a slight movement of a hippo is at least a few inches, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not even a noticeable movement almost when it comes to an animal the size of a hippo.
Yeah.
So I've always felt a little concerned about shooting hippo just because of that, whereas I've had a lot of success with buffalo and never had one move just when I was pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
So I felt really solid there, and here we have this hippo.
When those hippo are in the water, that's not offering a big target. Now, when they're relaxed and a bull will kind of pull his head up and he'll take a look at you, that's a lot easier shot than when those things are flat down and they know those hippo knew you were there. And when that happens, that head goes from that to kind of down here where they're just giving you that peek over the water line. And well, now you got meat. You got a lot of meat. Dan, what was Lynn's plan? You know Dandy better than I know Dandy. What was his plan since you're doing the 2 cats?
Yeah, so we were focusing on one kind of area of Dandy itself. So we would obviously just stick on a kind of route along one of the rivers. So, you spread your baits out, kind of in a long configuration along that river in the hopes that the lions are going to be walking up and down the rivers, which is what they do a lot of. I remember we went and put one bait up quite far. Harm will probably remember the drive. We had to make it every 2 or 3 days up to 222. There was a really old male lion that was coming. And funny enough, on a quick side note, he came back 4 months later. He finally came back. Can you believe it?
Really? Wow.
So yeah. So he's we put one bait very far out, and then we had 3 of the other hippo pieces, spread in good areas that we were hoping they would be coming in.
So, when you're baiting a 2-cat hunt, a line bait, you're hanging it down where a lion's, he's got to work at it, and he'll stand up, and good Lord, a big male lion can stand up, 8 or 9 feet and feed very easily. He'll just latch onto it. A properly set leopard bait, maybe a real motivated small lioness can get up there, but generally, your leopard baits are only, going to attract a leopard. But the good news is a line setup can always produce leopard, because that leopard, he jumps up there and he holds onto it with all 4 feet and he's shearing off meat. So I guess any of your line baits, Lynn said, this is also serving as a leopard bait.
Yeah, and that turned out to be all too true. I don't know if you're showing some film of Len climbing up a tree to hang leopard baits, but on a hand, that man, he could audition for Cirque du Soleil, I think. The way he can climb, he's just amazing.
If it comes to it, if we're being chased by something, Lynn's probably going to survive, because he's going to be up any damn tree he comes to in a hurry, because he's a tree climbing machine. But it is kind of unusual. Dan, I don't remember the last time I saw a PH sling his own baits.
I would say Len is definitely the only one, and probably the best tree climber I've ever seen in my life. But I think what it also boils down to as well, I mean, he's great at climbing up the trees, but Len's very much a perfectionist. So he likes doing things the way he wants them and where he wants the cat to stand, because obviously the angles that your cat's wanting to stand, where you want him to feed for the shot, and he likes getting all of that first time done, dusted, set up. So if you get a cat feeding, all you need to do is put your blind up and sit, and it's done. So yeah, I'd say it's dual faceted. He's a perfectionist, and yeah, he just likes doing it himself as well. So yeah, it's great and it's fun to watch. And every now and then you hear some huffing and puffing. I don't know how he can get up some of those trees, but he's good at it.
Well, one advantage of him doing that is he actually, by the time he's putting the bait up, he knows precisely where the blind is going to be set up. And he will now be able to look, around, see exactly what that leopard can see or hopefully not see. So you've got how many baits now? How many line baits did that hippo produce for you?
Well, 4 huge ones.
5.
Yeah.
5 baits?
Yeah. And then we had the net.
And how far were they spread, mile-wise?
Oh. Geez, I mean, what would you say? That bait run would take us from morning till night. So, I mean, we would leave in the dark and come back in the dark.
It's hard to tell because, of course, it's the travel time. It throws you off.
Yeah.
If these were on highways, you could speculate how far apart they were, but on those back roads.
Time you started putting the baits out, when did you get your first hit, and what was it?
Yeah, it was that cat really close to camp. It was on one of those impalas that we hung up.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a cat y'all knew about, Dan. That cat is fairly well known and fairly smart.
No, he's a pretty clever bugger, yeah, and he hangs around the camp all the time. And funny enough, our whole hunt, he was mocking us because he would, spend nights with the female, literally walking on the paths in camp, and making his way, feeding, and just playing with us. So yeah, we know him very well, and many guys have gone after him, and a lot of those noticeable cats there, the guys know them. So they can be enigmas sometimes.
So Harm, eventually you got a bait out, you're making an early morning approach, and bingo, cat's in the tree. What are you thinking there?
I'm thinking this looks pretty damn promising. I'm thinking that, Dave. Yeah, and it's exciting walking in the dark, basically at the light of the moon, and which fortunately was full or almost full most of the time. But I love that approach, like any African hunter would, to be able to go and see it right there. And then it's just the question, is it a male?
Well, that's a huge part of it, Harm. And in years past in Zimbabwe and a lot of African countries, a leopard was a leopard as far as on license, but that's not that way in Zimbabwe anymore. I mean, we're hunting, males only, and unlike looking at an elephant or a buffalo, a leopard, especially a mid-sized leopard, can be just very, very difficult. There's certainly some tails, but the main giveaway tail are the testicles, and they're about this big, and they are right up under a leopard's tail. And Lynn wasn't sure, even I don't think at this point, that this was a male. He was being very careful. And
We were
what's Lynn telling you right here?
Well, he's telling me he's not
Then-
sure, and I'm telling you that I'm thinking, Len, I'm sure. But of course, I wasn't sure. And it was, this is all part of it, Dave. And, whether I get one or not, it's the hunt. And how I got it that makes the experience.
Yeah,
And so, in fact,
I
having that
remember Len and I.
bit of disappointment, to me, is part of the thrill of it all.
sure. Yeah. And there's going to be some disappointments.
We were going-
You sit on enough leopard baits, there's going to be some disappointment. Second guessing, was it a male? That was a male, though. Yeah, the one we just
Yeah.
saw.
That was a male, yeah. And I can remember that morning, Len and I, we were also going back and forth. He's asking me on the camera, "Can you see? Can you see? Can you see?" Because a lot of the time with our infrared, which is quite nice, helps. Even with their low light binoculars, sometimes infrared can give us a bit of an angle, especially if the camera trap is shining on. It adds that little extra bit of light. So again, I'm just the camera guy. I'm not the one that's ending up paying the fine. You make a mistake on those things. But Len also was saying, "Can you see anything? Can you see anything?" And it was just so difficult to see that cat's balls. So sadly, it was just one of those quick things where we just couldn't be sure.
Well, but this time in the safari, you are in the middle of what I call the cat grind. Then you're sitting till the last drop of daylight, because in this area we need to say you can't use artificial lights. It's a government safari area, so you have to shoot your cat under natural lighting conditions. But it is just unbelievable hard, long hours. But eventually, the grind gets exciting, and it pays off with not only just a hit, the right kind of hit. And you guys kind of waited to put all your meat in one basket.
We've got a line feeding, and we've hung a nice fresh bait up for him. So this afternoon we're going to go to the blind and see if we can get a good look at him, and see if he's a good enough shooter or not. If that leopard comes in, we're going to shoot it, eh? Okay? If the leopard comes in, we're going to shoot it. I'll tell you to shoot, okay?
Okay, so we'll shoot either.
Either, yeah, absolutely.
Harm, what's going through your mind right now?
Well, I was expecting a leopard. And then in walks this big alive. And at that point, I got to admit, I was extremely excited. Because there wasn't any question in my mind as to whether he could be a shooter, really. And of course, Len confirmed he was. But when he took that Impala and dragged it into the bush, I thought, oh no.
Oh, that's just what I said. I said, oh, so he drags that off, but that's not a huge piece of meat. So what did Len tell you, Harm?
Len, ever the optimist, said he'll be back.
Yeah.
And those were magic words.
Just be calm.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, the line's there. He's walked off with the meat. I am sure, you are in your shooting hole, finger probably on the trigger waiting. But now another wonderful surprise walks in stage left. And there is obviously, the first time I saw him, I said, well, that's the male. And here's a leopard. So walk me through that, Harm.
Well, what can you imagine? Here you are, you were thinking about a line, and next thing the leopard shows up, and now you kind of almost don't know what to do, right? Because you've got these two cats on the same bait. That I thought was just amazing. And of course, this guy sensed the lion and took off. And then you start wondering, oh, holy smokes, this is our first best location. Everybody's showing up at the same time.
And all leaving, but they all left quick.
I shouldn't have taken that discount on the hunt. I should have paid the full bore.
Well, I am sure what you just said was correct. You know, that leopard, you know, these cats know when other cats are around. They see them, they smell them, they, you know, they pee, they run over and sniff it, and they say, oh, shit, lions are here. But that lion probably had not retreated very far with that meat. He just got tucked into the bush, and I bet that leopard either heard him feeding or saw him. And yeah, I mean, the leopard will always lose in that confrontation, so he nips off. Lynn's probably saying whatever comes in next is getting shot.
Pretty well.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Now, I've got to say that's a pretty interesting experience. That, you know, obviously I wasn't successful in previous hunts, but having both cats show up at the same location, I don't know how common that is.
Yeah,
but, that was pretty cool.
It's not too common. I mean, you know, you see them both right there, and you see them both in beautiful daylight, well, beautiful footage. But Lynn had told you, hey, this lion, he's here. I mean, you're not going far, and sure enough.
He's okay now. He looks okay to shoot. No, shoot him now. Yeah, I would. Well, wait, I can't see now. Yeah.
So walk me through this, Harm.
All right. Well, when he returned, you know, Len indicated I could shoot this cat. So it just became a matter of his position. You know, where is he? And obviously right now he's in the worst position possible. He's got a tree right in front of where you would otherwise shoot. And so it's just a matter of waiting, forcing yourself to wait. And of course, you know, I'm in no hurry to, make a bad shot.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, the fact that he came back is extremely exciting.
Yeah. Especially after 8 safaris, hoping to one day have the moment that is now right in front of you. I mean, people don't understand the adrenaline jolt this is. Oh, and there he is. He's going to try to break off another piece. He wants to get back in that bush and feed.
Well, that one was chained to the tree. So I was curious to see whether he'd actually pull it and take off as he do with the Impala. And then that would be it. But as you can see, it turned out better than that.
And there you are. And you took a whack at him. Now, I know what Lynn Taylor said. How did you feel about your shot?
Well, I thought it was really good. And but you know, I'm accustomed to hunting predators, mainly bears and the like, and they don't all drop just because you happen to shoot properly.
Yeah.
Bison haven't dropped either necessarily. Perfect heart shot, the damn thing's still wandering around with the herd. So, yeah, I felt fairly confident. But mind you, it jumped. It would lead one to suspect that maybe the shot wasn't perfect. But there you go.
Well,
Ben's relieved to be shaking my hand and saying it turned out okay, because he went in after it with the shotgun. And that was an awesome line. It was a perfect old big lion.
Yeah, I mean, and that is especially, you know, your appreciation of that moment. And that's a moment, man. I mean, that's something that you carry with you to your grave and hopefully beyond. And when somebody has put in as much time and effort as you had on that, it's a little sweeter than someone that goes out on the first day, they get a hit on the second day and shoot him on the third day and go, not too much involved in that. the conversation really quickly turns back. What about that big leopard that we saw?
Yeah. So we definitely wanted to try get onto looking on another spot. We went to this beautiful area which is on the Chihuahua border as well. That's another beautiful river. I forget the name of it. And a lot of it obviously tried for this, infamous cat along that side. So we wanted to try and give another chance at another leopard that we know was so good and worth going for.
Well, eventually, walk me through. There was so much back and forth to different blinds and different leopards, but you were walking in early, obviously, here. You look out the peephole, and there he is.
You know what made this, I'd say, extra exciting, at least for me, is we could hear the leopard coming in. Because it was doing that sawing motion, that grunting. Mm-hmm. And not from, I'd say from very nearby, but of course it's hard to judge the distance. But he did that on one side of us, let's say to the right of the blind. And then the next time we heard him, it was well to the left of the blind. And of course, the impression you develop is that he's carrying on, walking right past the blind and further into the bush. But then he returned, and you can see he returned to the left of the bait. And at that point, Len was very anxious, of course, that I shoot the leopard. But what I was very anxious for was not to have it moving like the buffalo.
Yeah.
So you see when he's scratching, I wait until he stops for a second, and that's when I shot.
Bonnie, you played that exactly. Boy, just did a complete flip, and off he goes. So he didn't drop on the spot. So obviously there's going to be a follow up here.
Well, in this case, you could see the blood from the tree. He ran towards us, but at an angle, right across the riverbed, and you could see the blood all along it. So that doesn't guarantee you hit it properly, but it certainly guarantees that you hit it well.
So you get on the blood, and Lynn's got his shotgun there.
Yeah, basically he ran across the stream and died more or less, I wouldn't say equidistant on this side of the stream as the bait was on the other, but something like that.
Well, Harm, when that leopard came in, and first time I got a really good look at him, that first time y'all saw him, I said, that is a really exceptional valley leopard, and here he is. I mean, you hit the jackpot on that one. I mean, that is, that's the top end type of cat that can come out of the valley. That's a big cat.
Yeah, I just had to listen to Len describing how he felt about that leopard to know how good it was. Now, it looked good to me, but as you know from my lack of success on previous hunts, I'm not quite yet a leopard judge, right? But he looked awesome to me. And
I know he was looking good to Dan Macdonald in that viewfinder. I mean, Dan knew exactly what he was looking at.
Yeah.
It was super special because he's a massive cat. I mean, you could see his dewlap, on that footage. He was just an absolute beast. And a lot of people will say, with all of your animals, tell you, geez, that's a really great one, and it's really, fantastic. But honestly, for the valley, that cat is right up there, and just an absolute monster for that area.
Was it worth the wait, Harm?
Totally worth the wait. That wait, the close calls, that's what makes a hunt.
Yeah.
Isn't it really? Because if you just step out of your Land Cruiser, walk down the road and shoot or something, what is that? And so I've always said it's the way you get it and what the experience prior to being successful, that's what makes that trophy a real trophy.
So I found, and I believe it with all my heart, and it doesn't matter where you're hunting. Good luck comes in bunches and bad luck comes in bunches. And now you're on a roll, so you're not quite done with the valley yet. You you had an opportunity at a really tough animal to get in the valley. He's never been known as, great Sable country. We certainly have them in there, but you had a chance at what I consider the premier plains game species of Zimbabwe.
Safety hawk, the big black one at the back.
Dave, I'm a lucky guy. I've always believed you've got to work hard, be smart, and have luck. Because if you don't have luck, you're out of luck. And talk about luck.
Yeah. Boy, he just posed beautifully.
Oh.
And I've seen a lot of Sable shot, and you don't knock them down that fast. That's one of the toughest of all the plains game in Africa. Now, you knocked him straight down. I mean, he didn't go, 10, 15 feet, and he was down and out. And a beautiful bull, too. Not just a Sable bull in the valley, but an exceptional Sable bull for the valley.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know how to compare it to other bulls, but I could tell you I felt really thrilled with this Sable because it certainly wasn't what I call a dink. This was a real, proper trophy.
Yeah. Harm, what would be your advice? I mean, if somebody came up to you and, comes through your trophy room, looks around and sees all this, but they're going to see that lion and they're going to see that leopard. And if they say, man, I've always wanted to do, a, one and or both. I'd really like to, I've never hunted cats. So I really want to. Give me some advice for that guy. What would you tell him? The good, the bad, the ugly? What's your advice to him?
Well, persistent pays. You have to continue making the effort because you could luck out, as you mentioned a few minutes ago, the first time and think, well, there's nothing to it. But I think that would be a bit disappointing. So failure, I think, is almost a necessity for the ultimate feeling you have when you finally are successful. And it's not that I'm recommending failure, but I'm just saying it's persistence, and it really all comes down to how you got it. And working for a reward is very important in my mind, no matter what it is, whether it's in business or hunting. So my advice is persistence, go back again and enjoy the moment. Success or fail, enjoy that trip.
Gentlemen, I appreciate your time, and more than that, I appreciate you sharing the adventure, and I certainly hope this won't be the last adventure of yours that we capture.
Well, I hope it won't be the last one either, Dave. And I already got 2 more trips planned, so if Dan can be the cameraman, maybe you get another chance to try to make me look good. Last time you got halfway there.
Well, all right, boys. Well, we will talk to you both soon.
Thank you very much for inviting me on.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah. Congrats, Harm.
Thank you very much.
So we hope you enjoyed being here today. And if you did, and if you're new to this series, please do me 2 favors. Hit like and subscribe. Until then, we will see you next week right here on Safari Classics TV. Join me inside the Safari Classics TV app, your front row seat to Safari, the world's last great adventure.